Okay, hello everyone. This is a study of Bandura et al. On aggression. All right. Um, Actually, I know this is a very long study, but let's just see how we can cover this within the shortest time possible. Okay. All right. So there's this first question. All right. I know this is a little large. Now, how do you release your anger? When you're angry, how do you release it? Do you break things like this? Okay, you break things, or do you scream? You scream out loud, yeah. Okay, punch the wall, throw items everywhere around the house, cry loudly, scream or yell, listen to music, play video games, run or jog. Okay, write angrily. Okay, draw or doodle, dance, bite nails. Yeah, I think I have someone that once told me that whenever he's angry, a young boy he bites a particular part of his body. I found out to be a little strange, but then people have different ways of releasing their anger. Okay, complain or vent, avoid others. Okay, sing loudly, kick trash cans. Okay, slam doors. I think some of my students do this. All right, play sports. Okay, this is fairly good. Eat objects, throw tantrums, rip papers, ignore people, laugh sarcastically, blast music, slam feast. Okay, quite a lot of things that people do to actually release their anger. Okay, so what do you do in particular? You can share your experience with me in the comment section. All right. Now, watching boxing or wrestling match. Now, does that increase or reduce aggression? What do you think? Okay. You think if you watch a boxing match or a wrestling match, do you think that actually increases or reduces aggression? What is your opinion around that? Well, I think I can just easily judge that, okay, watching such a thing can actually increase your level of aggression. Yeah, probably because you might have learned one or two things from the event that you want to practice. Excuse me. Okay. So yeah. So you might think around that, but we're going to talk about something which is not in that line, which is opposite watching boxing to increase aggression. Sorry, I had to take water a little. Okay, so there is a concept called catharsis theory. Okay, catharsis theory generally suggests that engaging or witnessing aggression, that is hitting or punching, okay, the concept reduces aggression by providing an emotional release or venting. So when you are angry, all right, and then you watch someone punching something, all right, so that way you're able to release your aggression. I don't do you really believe that? Okay, it's a theory actually that if you're angry, it's either you get yourself engaged in something, um you release the anger through violent activities, or another way is actually to watch it. So you're not really engaged in it, you're involved in that particular thing passively this time around. So in the process you're able to release your anger. So that's what catharsis theory is about. Okay, so on the other hand, another thing is the social learning theory, which proposes that observing or engaging in aggressive behavior increases aggression. So which means when you watch people doing that, you also learn to do that. All right, that is what I believe a lot of people are aware of, that when you watch violent movies it can increase your level of violence, for example. And then catharsis theory is actually opposite, that when you watch it you're able to release your anger and then you feel better afterwards. Okay, so what is social learning theory? Let's go through it quickly. We learn through observation, we learn through classical conditioning and operant conditioning. Okay, our mental state is important in the process of learning. Learning doesn't mean there will be a change in behavior. Okay, now take note of this: three major type of learning: classical conditioning, operant conditioning, and then observational learning. We're going to look at this in detail. Now, excuse me, for classical conditioning, it was discovered by Pavlov. Okay, it involves learning through association. It's actually in your um, course book. You can find the study of little Albert. Yeah, the little Albert experiment. Okay, now so involve learning through association. Two stimuli are paired to create a new learned response in a person or animal. Okay, operant conditioning on the other hand is associative learning, where behavior is modified by reinforcement or punishment. Okay, yeah, let's discuss classical conditioning now. All right, so classical conditioning. Look at this dog, for example. One of the responses of dog is to salivate when there is food. It's more of a natural response for them. Each time a dog sees food, okay, the anticipation, the expectation, all right, they can begin to salivate. That is more of a natural response for them. Okay, now what Pavlov did is that each time he gives the dog the food, he sounds a buzzer. All right, it makes that sound brrr, like that. Okay, so he gives the dog a food. Another time, it makes that sound brrr. Okay, so each time he wants to give the dog the food, he also pair the food with the buzzer. Okay, and then before that, okay, let me just say it this way. Now, after a particular point in time, even if Pavlov is not giving the dog the food and he just presses the buzzer, okay, what do you think the dog would do? The dog would naturally salivate, right? Okay, because he has associated the buzzer to the food. So he has learned a new behavior because he has associated that buzzer with the food. All right, I believe that makes sense a little. Okay, actually, if I'm to look at the detailed explanation, is there are a lot of keywords there: natural stimulus, okay, conditioned response, unconditioned response, a lot of things like that. Okay, so but that's just the summary of the entire thing. Okay, dog naturally salivates to food, but dog do not salivate to buzzer. Now you're trying to make the dog salivate to buzzer. All right, you pair the food and the buzzer together, so to get to a point that the dog would have associated both elements in its mind, so such that when the dog sees or hear the buzzer, it salivates to the buzzer. All right, so it's just something similar to that. Now talking about the John B. Watson, who carried out the little bat experiment. Okay, do you know how a baby behaves with animals? Babies mostly are cool. They play a lot with animals. All right, when they see an animal, even the ones that you consider dangerous. Okay, babies, they are innocent. They play with all sort of things. All right. In fact, you will even be surprised that if they lay hold on a particular animal, they want to put such animal in their mouth. All right. Okay. Now, for little Albert, it was the same. A rat was introduced to little Albert. Little Albert will play with the rat, no fear. Little Albert was cool with the rat, like a toy, you know. So what John B. Watson did is that they know that, okay, little Albert was naturally um, scared of loud noise. Okay, so he tried to pair the loud noise with the rat now. So each time he introduces the rat, he creates this loud noise. The baby will now cry. The baby was crying because of the loud noise. You introduce the rat, the baby cried. You introduce the rat, the baby cries. Okay, to get to a point that just by saying the rat now, the baby begins to cry. So you have created fear in the baby just by pairing the loud noise and rat together. Okay, so operant conditioning by B.F. Skinner. Rat push the lever. Okay, so they just put a rat. This is by another method of learning. All right, so you put the rat in this enclosure. The Skinner did that. So the rat was just supposed to move around randomly until the rat mistakenly pushes the lever. So if it pushes the lever, then there is a particular food that will roll down into the cage. So the rat eats. Oh, this is good. This is food. So what did I do? The rat moves around again. It mistakenly presses the lever. The food comes out again. So the rat begins to learn that, okay, there is a reward for pushing this thing. So if I push this thing, there is a benefit I'm getting. So the rat continually pushes the lever until to get more of the food. So which explains generally that if we get positive rewards from things, we might get to exercise certain behavior. If you know you'll be praised for doing something, you might actually want to do it over and over again. All right, so that is the idea. Now, reinforcement and punishment. Okay, there is positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, positive punishment, and negative punishment. I'll be going into that detail in this slide, okay, because it's a little long. All right, so positive reinforcement, you add stimulus to the environment. Okay, negative, you remove stimulus from the environment. Okay, this one, you add stimulus to the environment. For example, beating, okay, or screaming at someone. Okay, positive, let me just explain a little. Positive reinforcement, you're giving gifts and or you're praising people, that is positive. Okay, negative reinforcement on the other hand is um you help someone to avoid something. Okay, um you do not want something to happen to you. All right, so you do a particular behavior. So the reinforcement is to reinforce a particular behavior. So you know that if you read well, you will not fail. Okay, so that is more like a negative reinforcement. You're trying to avoid something. Okay, so you get to practice a particular thing. All right. Positive punishment on the other hand is when you maybe you scold someone, you scream at someone. Okay, all right, so as to decrease such behavior. Don't do this again, then you scold the person. All right, so negative punishment on the other hand is um okay, how do I break this down now? Okay, the example here is dog doesn't get petted when he paws for attention. So when it's actually looking for attention, you don't give the thing that particular behavior. All right, so you take away something um just to be able to um okay, so because this is negative, you actually remove something just to discourage that behavior. All right, you remove something, or maybe you don't get a particular benefit if you do this thing. All right, so you take away something from the environment if you do a particular behavior. So because you do not want that thing to be taken away, so you eventually get to stop that behavior. All right, so negative is more like taking something away, positive is more like adding something. All right, but then that's not necessarily important, so I don't really want to go into detail for that. It's just a little idea around the different ways we learn, talking about operant conditioning, okay, and classical conditioning. Now to the last one, we have observational learning. All right, what is observational learning? You observe behavior and then you try to retain the behavior. You keep it in your mind and you try to repeat it. Okay, look at these people. Obviously they went to a Chinese restaurant. All right, so they were given chopstick to eat. All right, Personally, I find this thing very difficult to do. Till today, I still wonder how they were able to, people mastered the use of this. All right. So they try to observe the way people held the thing, the sticks, and how they were able to eat with them. Can you see? All right. They were holding the stick. Oh, how do I maneuver this thing to eat? All right. So they try to observe, look at the way people were doing it. They retain the information, and then they try to do it now to repeat the behavior they saw. Okay, I've also tried anyway. I've tried to repeat the use of chopstick, but I failed. Okay, what I wonder a lot is actually people trying to hold an egg with chopstick. I mean, that could be very, very difficult, but people do that, the boiled egg, and then they try to hold it with it. Okay, so generally there are some things that could be difficult that could require a lot of trainings, but however, there are some that once you just observe at a glance, you're able to repeat the behavior. Okay, so background to social learning, you need attention, okay, and then you need to retain the information, then you need to reproduce the information, and then which you also need motivation in the process. All right, past study. Bandura and Houston in 1961, they discovered that children imitate adult model, which is they observe and then they imitate adult model in the presence of the model. All right. Now, Blake also discovered that observing the responses of a model can facilitate subject reaction in a social setting. Is that true? So, when you're observing the response of a model, it can facilitate your reaction in the social setting. Okay, do you think some of the behavior you exhibit are actually things that you've observed from people? Yeah, to some extent that can be true. Children perceived parent preferences for sex appropriate behavior. So that is actually to some extent related to the study we also covered on Fagan et al. No, Asset et al. Right? Asset et al. Monkey toy preferences. Yeah, Asset et al. Okay. So talking about that, although in particular the reason for the toy preferences in that study was more towards the biological, the hormones necessitating the need to choose a particular type of toys. But it's also possible, talking about socialization, that you could have observed your parents playing with a type of toys, and then you also feel that okay, this is the type of toy that is appropriate for your gender. Okay, now Bandura 1965 also observed the concept of vicarious reinforcement. Take note of this. Vicarious reinforcement, when you try to um, encourage a behavior so that the behavior will be repeated over and over again. Okay, now models aggression being rewarded, being given sweets and a drink for championship performance. Now, children were observing models that were engaging in aggressive behavior, and then those models were rewarded. So take note, they were actually studying the children, but the children was not rewarded. It was the model that they were observing that was rewarded. So that's the vicarious reinforcement explanation there. All right. So also models were being punished for aggressive behavior in some situation that is coded. All right, that is positive punishment. All right, now no specific consequences to model in the control group. So they make a comparison. Now, which group repeated the aggressive behavior more? Okay, which group do you think it was actually? This group, the group one. So children in that group that were observing models with aggressive behavior that was rewarded, they tend to engage in the aggressive behavior more. So take note, the vicarious reinforcement, you don't reward the subject, the participant. It was the model that was being rewarded. So the children tend to also repeat the behavior. Okay, now for this study, the psychology being investigated, we have the model. In psychology, okay, a model refers to an individual whose behavior is observed and imitated by others. Models can be a real person or symbolic figures in the media, etc. All right. What is social learning? A theory of learning that suggests people learn behaviors, attitude, and emotional reaction by observing others. Okay. So there are quite a lot of things that you might have learned in the society, either consciously or unconsciously, that you might not be aware of. Okay. Have you also ever imagined to a certain point that even your expression, the way you vent your anger, can actually be due to social learning? All right. There are certain things that you might have observed that, okay, when someone is angry, this is what they do, and that thing just interests you that, okay, yeah, when I'm angry too, I can also do this. Yeah, when I'm angry, let me avoid the person. When I'm angry, let me break things. Maybe some of you watched violent movie and then you see people break things, and that actually captivated you in one way. It can be, all those things might not necessarily be a planned activity, but once you've observed something, it can stay in your mind, and it's only wait for the right time for it to exhibit itself. So, all right, that is by the way. Now, aggression also a behavior characterized by intent to cause harm or discomfort to another individual. All right, either physically or emotionally. All right, aggression can be overt, subtle, and may be influenced by biological, environmental, and social factors. So those were things that were looked into. Now, this is a video of what the experiment is about. Okay, I won't be playing it, but just to move through. Okay. Yeah. All right. So this is Bandura. All right. An introduction into this is the video now. All right. So you can see Bobo Doll, children standing in front of it. It's an explanation of the entire thing. So yeah, you can see punching the Bobo Doll. All right. I'm going to explain everything about that. Okay. The children punching the Bobo Doll. All right. Repeating the same behavior the child observed from the adult. You see. Okay. Yeah. Repeating similar behavior. Okay. Yeah. You see another one. Repeating similar behavior. Okay. All right. Yeah. There's another video. All right. So given detailed explanation as regards the study. So this is just to prepare the mind of my student to understand the scope of the study. All right. Okay. I won't be playing the video for copyright issue. I also got them because there are other materials that could benefit and broaden the understanding of my student around the concept. Okay. So that is another video. Okay. Now the aim of the study. Overall aim to investigate observational learning of aggression. Right? Aim 1 to see whether children would reproduce aggressive behavior when the model was no longer present. Okay? Now this time around the present will practice something, do something, the children will observe, and then the model will leave. So will the children reproduce such behavior? Now, to look for gender differences in the learning of aggression is another factor that was looked at. Okay, will male children versus female children who will be more aggressive? Now, hypothesis: observed aggressive behavior will be imitated. All right, that's the prediction. Therefore, children who observed aggressive model will display more aggression. All right. I want to underline certain important things here. Okay, than children who observed non-aggressive model or no model. Okay, I think I'll explain that when I get to the research design. So you'll be able to get that better. All right, now observed non-aggressive behavior will be imitated as well. Okay, so take note. They said here children who observed aggressive model will display more aggressive behavior than children who observed non-aggressive models. So children will also observed non-aggressive model. So observed non-aggressive behavior will be imitated as well. Okay, thus children who observe non-aggressive model will display less aggressive behavior. All right. Now, children are more likely to imitate behavior demonstrated by model of the same gender. All right. I'm a boy, and then the model is also a man. All right. I think I will imitate a man more compared to imitating um, a woman. All right. That's just the idea. Similarity in the gender will also influence how much. That's an hypothesis. How much I copy the aggressive behavior. Now, number 4, boys will be more likely to copy aggression than girls. Okay. Now, the research method. It was a laboratory experiment, and then they used observation to collect data. All right. Observation is also another type of research method, but however, it was just a means of collecting the data in the situation. So it was more of a laboratory experiment because they were brought into an artificial room. Everything was done, organized, created an artificial room. They only used observation as a means. They controlled the IV and every other thing. It was an experiment. Excuse me. So, what research design was used? What do you think? What do you think? Okay, it is independent measure design. What does that mean? It's also between subject design. It means that each group of the participants experience only one level, another group will experience another level, another group will experience another level. So the same group did not experience two or more levels. No, it was only one level of the IV they experienced. All right, now this is the IV. Number 1, we have the model type, which is aggression condition. So we have aggression, which is one level. We have non-aggressive, which is one level, non-aggressive, which is another level, and then the control. So this is in terms of the model. We have models that are aggressive, we have models that are not aggressive, and then in the control group, there won't be any model. Okay, control is more like absent. Control group is a group where there is absence of IV, independent variable. Okay, so no model. All right. Okay, you might want to ask the question, why is non-aggressive model not the control group? Yeah, please, this is very important. Let me take my time to explain that a little more. All right, the point there is that if it is aggression and they're not aggression, this will only be two levels of the IV. You can't call this a control group. The reason is because when you put aggressive model in a condition, it is expected that, okay, children will copy the aggression. Okay, that is the hypothesis. We don't know if that will be the end result. Now, when you also put a non-aggressive model, that is a model that will just sit quietly in another condition, all right, the children are most likely going to copy that behavior as well. Okay, you get a point now. So even a child that is naturally aggressive, that in its natural state, the child is supposed to be aggressive. But if the child gets to this environment, the child might tend to be less aggressive just because he is trying to copy this behavior. Okay, how do you behave? Sometimes you might be this kind of very outspoken person. You might also be very loud. You might be all those things, and then imagine you get to a classroom and everywhere was quiet. What do you think? To some extent, you might want to, okay, let me comport myself, let me also adjust. All right, but don't forget that is not revealing your true identity. Okay, so which means it is not a control group. The control group will be that there is an absence of anything that can influence the behavior away from its natural state. All right, so non-aggressive condition is drawing you towards a spectrum of minus aggression. But on the other hand, we want a control group that will just be in its natural state, no influence. All right, I believe that is good. Okay, now the IV2 is the model gender. We have the male model that were aggressive, male model non-aggressive, and then we have the female models that were aggressive, and the female model that were non-aggressive. All right, and then the third IV is the learner gender. We have the boy and the girl. So it's good to say boy and girl here, and then man and woman here for the model. They are adult. All right, and then the boy and girl, they're children. All right, I think this good that way. Okay, Now, what are the dependent variables? So here it's a little broad, but please just to try and pay attention to it. I've seen a lot of questions in the exam come around this aspect. Okay, now we have what we call imitative aggression. What is imitative aggression? Imitative aggression basically means um, the aggression that were displayed by the model that uh, there will be a possibility of them to be copied by the children. Okay, before I explain that in detail, now non-imitative aggression basically means the behavior that were displayed by the children, but the model did not do that. Okay, maybe even if the model had watched, it would have been like, oh, I didn't do this, I didn't do up to this. Oh, these are just the children trying to be creative. They did this themselves. Oh, I never did that. All right, you understand that? Okay, the partially imitative aggression will be something like, oh, yeah, I did something similar, but I didn't do it like this. All right, so I believe you understand that. So the children, to some extent, were also creative with the way they did things. All right, so what were the behaviors we're looking at? Imitative aggression. Don't forget, there is a concept called structured observation. Do you remember what structured observation is about? If you have a good memory of your research method, all right, you will remember that structured observation is when you encode behavior under certain categories, such that when you begin to observe those behaviors and then you see participants replicate them, all you do is just to match them under the categories. All right. Oh, I can see physical aggression. Oh, yeah. This person is displaying it here, number one. All right. Another person, oh, I can record. Another person, yeah, under verbal, yeah. Another person, okay. So what were the behavior displayed by the model that the children are likely to copy? So the model eats Bobo Doll with mallet. Take note, hit Bobo Doll with mallet. Not punch, please. He hit the Bobo Doll with mallet. Okay, another thing the model did, lay the Bobo Doll down, sit on the doll and punch its face. Okay, that was another thing that the model did. All right, expecting probably the children might copy, they might not copy, it depends on them. Another thing the model did, okay, some of them were in the videos, but I couldn't play it due to copyright issue. All right, the model also tossed the Bobo Doll in the air, okay, threw it in the air. Now, this were the physical aggression that involves movement. All right, what about the verbal aggression? Okay, what about some of the words said by the model while doing the act? All right, sock him, hit him down, kick him, throw him in the air, pow. Okay, the model is not saying this to command the children to go do it, okay? And actually, when we explain that in detail, you get to discover that they were even in a different room, only that the children can see the model. All right, so the model was just saying it, okay, to himself, all right, while engaging in the act. Okay, so it's as simple as that. All right, and then the last one, we have the non-aggressive verbals, the words that the model said that were not aggressive. Okay, like it keeps coming back for more. He sure is a tough fella. All right. So those were the imitative aggression, the possible aggressive behavior that could be imitated from the model. So any other aggressive behavior aside this will be non-imitative aggression. Will be maybe something that the children created themselves. All right, or maybe the children did half of this but not exactly this. Then that will be partial. Okay, so non-imitative aggression, we have the physical aggression. Okay, if you punch the Bobo Doll, don't forget, but not using mallet. Um the model actually used the mallet, but you are punching. So if a child punches the Bobo Doll, then that will be non-imitative aggression. The child was just being creative himself. Now, partially aggressive act directed towards other object. So the reason this is not imitative is because the model did not um, show aggression towards other objects. He only did to the Bobo Doll, right? Okay, so if any child does aggressive behavior to other objects, that is creativity, non-imitative. All right, verbal aggression, hostile remarks other than what the model had previously said. Okay, now another one, if you had said something like cut him, stupid ball, horses fighting, biting, knock over people. All right. So these were basically some of the words the children said that were not from the model, okay, which shows non-imitative aggression. Okay. Now, for the partially imitative aggression, we have the mallet aggression, striking other object aggressively with a mallet. Okay, although the model struck the Bobo Doll with a mallet, but he didn't do that. He didn't use the mallet on other objects. So if you're using the mallet on other objects, that is partially imitative aggression. All right. So sitting on the Bobo Doll, laying the Bobo Doll on its side and sitting on it, but not attacking it. If you're not attacking it, then it's not complete because the model actually attacked it. All right. So how was the behavior recorded? We have aggressive behavior were recorded under the imitative learning. We have 5 seconds interval. 5 second interval, like you observe the children for 5 seconds. Okay. You and then after that you record their behavior. Okay, you observe them again for 5 seconds, record their behavior, because if you were to observe, you're just looking at them until they are done. After 20 minutes, before you start recording, you might have missed some information. So it's good to do 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. You look for 5 minutes, after 5 minutes, you record. You look for 5 minutes again, you observed. After that, you record. So that will save you the time, and then so you can still keep information within the 5 minutes and record anything you notice during that time. All right. So they were inter-rater reliability. So two people actually rated the kids. Okay. So and then their results were almost similar, 0.9. So it's almost 1. If their result had given 1, that means everything they recorded was 100% the same. Okay, but the fact that it's 0.9 is more like 0.90, let me say 90%. All right, so almost the same. So which means that it's good. All right, so one male model rated all 72 kids and a second observer. All right. No, please, I just took note of this. One male model. So it's actually, well, I can't vividly remember. It's not supposed to be a model because the model is was the person engaged in the aggressive behavior. So it's not going to be a model, it's rather an observer rating the kids and then another observer. Okay, so two observers basically. All right, so for the sample, we have 36 boys and 36 girls. Okay, so it is balanced. All right, from Stanford University Nursery School. So they were young children. They were recruited for the experiment. Can you do a little calculation here? 36 plus 36. What is that? Okay, that is 72. All right. Now, they were aged between 37 and 69 months, approximately 3 to 5 years. Okay, with a mean age of 52 months. All right. So 4 and 1/3 year. Okay, that's 4 months. Okay, so that's their mean age. Yeah. Now, talking about the sample, how many children? We said 72 children, right? Now, they were divided into 3. 72 divided by 2, for example, will give you 36, 36. Okay, if you also do 72 divided by 3, we give you 24. So we have 24 under the aggressive model, 24 under the non-aggressive model, and then 24 under the control group. You remember this IV? Yeah, aggressive, non-aggressive, and control group. So what is it going to look like for the aggressive group? All right, we have 24 children, non-aggressive, we have 24, and then control 24. Now, these were further divided into different groups. Okay, since you have 36 children, all right. So, and then remember, we are trying to also measure gender. Will boys copy more from men, or boys will copy more from women? Will girls copy more from men, or girls copy more from women? All right. So we have male, which is the man, model, and then 6 boys to observe the male model, male, and then 6 girls. Then the woman with 6 boys, the woman with 6 girls. All right. So don't forget, when we remember refer to the male and female, we are talking about the adult, the model, and then the boys and girls are talking about the children. So for the non-aggressive condition, it was the same as well. And then for the control group, well, since the models were not necessarily there, the children were just grouped like that without a model. Okay. Now, why can't the non-aggression be the control group? Again, can you remember I explained that earlier? What do you think? Why can't the non-aggression be the control group? Okay, do not forget non-aggression. Okay, control group actually means a group without the IV. So non-aggression is also a level of the IV. Okay, it doesn't mean absence of the IV. It is the negative level of the IV, not the absence. Okay, so now for the procedure, we have room 1, room 2, room 3. Please pay attention to this. Now for the room 1, the children will be in a separate room. They will be looking at the model. In another room, the model will be punching. Don't forget using a mallet to punch this Bobo doll. All right, this is what the room is like. You punch the Bobo doll, and then look at this information. It's a 5-foot Bobo doll. All right, a big one. You can imagine how tall a 5-foot Bobo doll is. All right, and then there are other type of toys like the potato print, and I've forgotten the name of this toy. All right. So after that, the children were taken to room 2. So the children were taken to this first room to observe the model and just observation, just to look at what the model was doing. All right. So then the children were taken to another room. This other room contains a different set of toys. All right, beautiful toys, dolls, um, um, wheel toys, and some other things. Now, what is the essence of this group? Okay, the essence of this group is to arouse the aggression in the participants and the children. Why do you think that was necessary? Okay, Bandura felt it was necessary because of the concept of catharsis theory. Don't forget catharsis theory. It talks about the fact that when you, even if you are an aggressive person, by looking at a Bobo doll in this first room, the model in the first room, punching a Bobo doll, then as you're moving out, your level of aggression is going to reduce. Okay, so Bandura believes that if he allows the children just observe the model and then they move straight to room 3 where they will be observed, they might all just be passive. They might not want to express their aggression anymore because to some extent they are already okay, they're already satisfied, their aggression has been released in them just by watching. So the essence of the room 2 is to arouse the aggression in them, even if it has been reduced by watching. So they try to arouse the aggression by giving them this, bringing them into this room. How did they do that? Okay, so the children saw the beautiful toys, they wanted to play with them, and then all of a sudden they just said, oh, no, those toys are not for you. All right, they actually reserved toys. So they collected the toys from them, and it's a form of withdrawal. You deprive them of something, so it's a way of actually, when you deprive a child of something and he sees the thing again, now he wants to run to go get it. Okay, so when they now brought them to room 3, they add a 3-foot Bobo doll here. Take note, 5 here for the model and then 3 here for the level. So the Bobo doll will not be too big that can actually affect them, maybe discourage them or scare them away. So they use a 3-foot Bobo doll, which is around their size, and then they add other toys around the room. So which means you have a tea set, you have the horses, you have the dolls, you have the wheel toys, you have the gun and Bobo doll, etc. So here the children were brought into this room to just behave the way they want to, and they were observed. Okay, procedure for room 1. Yeah. So the model did all of this, punch, 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 toss the Bobo doll in the hair, in the air, push the Bobo Doll to the ground, sat on it, okay, and punch it. Now the Bobo Doll, the model only punched the Bobo Doll when he sat on it, all right. But when the Bobo Doll was actually standing, the model used the mallet to hit it, all right. Okay, so I think I explained this already. Now, Tinker Toy set. Now, Tinker's set that the non-aggressive model plays with. Okay, yeah. In this situation, we have Tinker's toy set. Now, there were. Don't forget that this particular explanation talks about the aggressive model. All right, because it is the aggressive model that will do this in the room 1, and then the children will see this, and then room 3. But however, in the non-aggressive model, okay, obviously the model is not supposed to be hitting the Bobo Doll. The model just comes in, sits quietly around the chair, and then play with some set of toys, all right, while the students observe. Okay, so this is part of the toy. The Tinker said that the non-aggressive model play with. Okay, the non-aggressive model, children watch the model doing that. Children in the control group did not watch any model. All right, so nobody was there. Okay, now, so they said, sorry, these toys are not for you. Come with me, please. All right, and then that was the procedure in the room 2, aggression arouser, and then they took them, yeah, they took them to room 3. Okay, yeah, so which is where they were supposed to display now their level of aggression, if they have any in them, if they have imitated anything, and then they want to display. Yeah, this is the time. Okay, so room 3. Now, why were there 5-foot Bobo Doll in room 1 and 3-foot Bobo Doll in room 3? What do you think? Why? Okay, why? I explained that earlier. Okay, these factors are good such that when you're evaluating, you're able to use them to be able to um, evaluate effectively, showing your grasp around the knowledge of this study. All right, so 5-foot Bobo Doll was suitable for an adult. Okay, you have the power to control a 5-foot Bobo Doll. It won't overpower you. All right, but 5-foot Bobo Doll for your children, maybe the movement rather, can scare the children away. Oh, I'm scared of this thing. It's too tall. I don't want to move close to it. But a 3-foot Bobo Doll is around their size, so they can still play with that. Now, another question is, why were the toys rearranged after each set of children? You know, they had 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6 all spread across. So after each children, um, okay, move through room 2, for example, try to touch the toys. Oh, we're sorry, these toys are not for you. They ensure that they rearrange those toys. Why do you think they had to do that? Okay, the reason is because of standardization, so that every group that is coming into the room meets the toy at the same location, the same positioning. All right, you know, positioning of objects can also affect your relationship, your interaction with them. If it's close to you, you might be tempted to want to move close to it. If it's far away from you, now, so every group must have the toys at the same location. So after a particular group might have left, they rearrange it before another group comes in. All right. So they watch the child or the children, okay, for 20 minutes through one-way mirror. In the third group, the third room, so they were watching them through a one-way mirror. Do you remember what a one-way mirror is about? You can see from outside, you can see inside, but then if you're inside, you can't see outside. So you won't know that they were observing you, but those outside can really see you clearly. Now, both male and female model demonstrated behavior, and an independent observer who was blind to the children's condition watched the children behavior. Now, do you know what this is about? The observer was blind to the children condition. The observer never knew. The observer that was recording in room 3 never knew if the children had been in aggressive condition before they were brought in that room 3. They never knew if the model they observed were aggressive model, or the model they observed were just the non-aggressive model that was playing with the Tinker set toys. All right. So the observer never knew. So they were just going to rate the behavior as natural as they can. So that is a way of controlling bias. I believe you get that. Okay, so they were going to rate them just as natural as possible. If I see aggression, I rate. If I don't see aggression, I don't count it as one. All right. So yeah, recorded categories every 5 seconds. So they add a total of 240 observation for each child. That is quite a big deal, right? Now 24 children, 12 boys and 12 girls, that is 24, watched a male or female model behave aggressively. We have 24 children for aggressive model, 24 for non-aggressive, and 24 for control. Now, the adult attacked the doll using a hammer, okay? Threw it in the air, shouting, pow, boom. Do you remember some of the verbal aggression? Okay, toss it in the air, hit it, pow. Please don't forget those things. All right, they can come out in the exam. I've seen questions around them, so please pay attention to them. Try to memorize at least 3 or maybe 2. Okay. Yeah, another 24 children observed a non-aggressive model who played quietly with a Tinker toy set and ignored the Bobo Doll for 10 minutes. Okay, he ignored the Bobo Doll. He wasn't interacting with the Bobo Doll, just playing with the set. So the model was not aggressive. Excuse me. So the final 24 children were used as the control group and were not exposed to any model. You see? All right. So aggression arouser, the children, including the control group, were subject to mild aggression arouser. All right. I explained that. As soon as the children started playing with the toys, they experimented from these were the best toys and had been reserved for other children. Please, not for you. Okay. Now, moving to the third room, 3-foot Bobo doll. They had a mallet, a pegboard, a dart gun, all right, and a 3-foot Bobo doll. And the non-aggressive toys, a tea set, crayons, we added 3 beards. I mean, these toys were not aggressive, and then these toys were aggressive. So in the room 3, they had all of this, all right. I showed you the picture earlier. Okay, now the child was in the room for 20 minutes and their behavior was observed and rated through a one-way mirror, resulting in 240 responses units for each child. Now, other behaviors such as punching the Bobo doll on the nose that did not imitate the model were also recorded. Okay, so punching the Bobo doll on the nose, that is it non-imitative or partial imitative aggression? What do you think? Did the model do that? Yes or no? The model actually hit the Bobo doll with a mallet, not punching. So it was only when the model sat that he actually punched. All right, but so if you punch the Bobo doll while at the nose, all right, that is non-imitative aggression. Okay. Yeah, so I explained all of this earlier. Okay. Yeah, so partially imitated aggression. All right. Non-imitative slapping, punching, Bobo doll. Okay. Non-imitative physical and verbal aggression, aggressive gunplay, playing with other items that were not used by the model. All right, so this is another video. Okay, let me just go through them. Okay. Oh, well, let me leave it. It's not that important. Okay. Yeah, moving forward. So we have the aggressive and non-aggressive condition. The result. All right. So who do you think will perform better? I mean, who do you think will show more aggression? Now look at it, the model and then the behavior. All right. For the imitative physical aggression, imitative verbal aggression, and the mallet aggression. All right. The non-imitative aggression. All right. Mallet aggression are just the aggression of using the mallet on every other thing. All right. So the imitative physical aggression had a score of 50.9, and verbal aggression 32. All right. The mallet aggression 80. So the children were just using the mallet and a lot. They use the mallet a lot. Now, non-imitative, how creative they are with other aggressive behavior. Okay, 82. Now, the non-aggressive condition, can you see their level of aggression actually reduced? Okay, and then the control group was also reduced. Let's look at another table now, trying to compare between boys and girls. All right, so we have aggression, non-aggression, and then the control group. Okay, so for boys and girls, this was for boys, this was for girls, boys, girls, boys, girls. All right. Now, looking at the screenshots from your course book, now look at this. We have the aggressive group and then the non-aggressive condition and then the control group. All right. Now, under the female model, under the male model, the female model, the male model, then the subject. These are the girls, boy, girls, boy. Now, which group has the highest aggressive behavior? Which group do you think has the highest aggressive behavior? Look at it. 25 in the old table, 25. And what is that group? It is the group when there is a male model and then there are boys. Boys under the male model. I think that answers a particular question. That okay? Look at this. Boys were able to copy more aggressive behavior under male model. The same gender boys, when they were under female model, look at their level of aggression. It is really reduced. Okay, they didn't copy the women, the female model. They copied the male model more. Oh, maybe this man is strong. I want to be like him. Okay, something like that. Now, which group has the lowest aggressive behavior? We can find out in the non-aggressive group. Can you see the control group? There is still a level of aggression, but in the non-aggressive group, there was no aggression at all. In this group, that is the female subject under the male model. They didn't copy anything. All right, any aggressive behavior. All right, so they were only doing things that were non-aggressive in that group. All right, look at this as well. The verbal aggression, female and male. They didn't um, actually get to exercise any verbal aggression under this category. Can you see that? Okay, the male and the female under the male model. Wow, looks like okay. Between aggressive and non-aggressive and control group, which group has the highest aggressive behavior? So looking at the aggressive, look at the aggression. Non-aggressive, look at their level of aggression. Look at the control group, look at their level of aggression. It's obvious that it is the aggressive group that has the highest level of aggression. So which means that when there is an aggressive model, children are more likely to be aggressive, either physically or verbally, aggressive generally. Children are more likely to be aggressive. So when the model is non-aggressive, children are less likely to be aggressive. And then when it's a control group, this is the natural level of aggression in the children. Okay. Subject and model, same or different sex. Okay, so when it comes to same sex, you have the male, and then the male, the female. All right, it's the same thing as the table we looked at. This might look a little confusing for you. All right, but it's the same as here, the male to male and then the female to female. All right, look at the female. So which group do you think has the highest impact? Is it the male group or the female group? Look at the male group. The children copy the highest level of aggression under the male group, and then the children also copied lowest level of aggression under the female group. Okay, all right, and that is for aggression. Okay, what about the verbal aggression? Okay, if the children were physically aggressive this way, what about the verbal aggression? Who was more? Look at it. The female were more verbally aggressive when the female displayed verbal aggression. There's a possibility that female are more likely to copy verbal aggression than male. All right, and then male are more likely to copy um, physical aggression than the girls. All right, boys copy more, girls copy more verbal aggression than boys. Uh, boys, on the other hand, copy more physical aggression than girls. Okay, what else can we note here? We can also note that um, okay, yeah, I think that is it. That is it. Okay, if I remember anything, I will bring it back. Okay, so the gender difference here. Which gender showed more physical aggression? Okay, I think we mentioned that earlier. Yeah, we already said male physical. Which model gender influenced the boys more? Okay, the male model influenced the boys more than the female model. Which gender showed more verbal aggression? The female, the girls, they showed more verbal aggression. All right. Which model gender influenced the girls more? All right. Which model influenced the girls more? Look at the girls. It is the female model. The female model influenced the girls more. Male model influenced the boys more. All right. So, which means children are more likely to copy aggression from the same, from model of the same sex. All right. Now, which model condition reduced aggressive behavior more? Excuse me. All right, the non-aggressive condition reduced the behavior in them. It reduced more. All right. Okay. So which model condition and model gender were most effective at reducing aggression? It's actually the male model gender was more effective at reducing aggressive behavior. You know, when the male model was there, there was less aggression. All right, than female. So which means that if male model has this high score here, and the male model also has this low score here, so it talks more about the influence of the male model. Okay, I believe you understand that. Uh, we've already mentioned that. Okay, this aggressive condition generally it reduces aggression more than this. Now, but then looking at the male model score, we have this is more than this, male model versus female model. This is more than this. This is more than this. Okay, this on the other hand is more than this, but this is also more than this. So male model has a upper hand here compared to the female model. Look at this now. The aggression, we already know that non-aggressive group, which one is more influential? Okay, since the model are non-aggressive, it is expected that the children should copy non-aggressive behavior, right? So the lower the aggression, the better it is. So yeah, this is lower than this, so the male is doing better here. uh this is higher than this, so the female did better here. All right, this is lower than this, the male did better here. This is lower than this, the male did better here. So all right, male model, uh, the male model had upper hand here, and then he had upper hand here. So the male model was more influential at increasing aggression overall, as well as reducing aggression overall in people. So you can apply that to real world. Women are more influential. Well, I won't say categorically that, but it depends on the behavior, you know. This is in terms of aggression. So maybe are more influential when it comes to either increasing or reducing aggressive behavior. All right. So non-aggressive behavior. All right. Okay. What toys did the girl prefer to play with? You know, when they were not playing with the Bobo Doll, hitting the Bobo Doll, what toys did the girl prefer to play with? What do you think? What toys do you think the girl would prefer to play with? Okay, they prefer to play with plush toys, teddy bears. Okay, they prefer also to play with um the horses. I think, yeah, the tea set. Yeah, the tea set, and then few of them the guns. Okay, what toys did the boy prefer to play with? The boy also they mainly prefer to play with the gun. All right, and also I think the wheel toys under the non-aggressive behavior, since they were not dealing with the Bobo Doll. All right, what toy had no gender difference? So I believe the gun, actually the girls and the boys prefer to play with the gun. All right, which group of children sat quietly and did not interact with the toy much? Which group do you think that will be? Okay, that should be the control group because there was no gender. So We're not supposed to, since there was no gender interacting with the toys, maybe some of them will just sit quietly. They will sit quietly and then observe. All right. Um, okay. So the teddy bear, yeah, the teddy bear, the girls prefer to play with the teddy bear. The number two, the guns. Which toy did the boy prefer to play with? The guns. Which toy had no gender difference? Yeah, the animal set, especially the animal set. Yeah, this. All right, boys play with it, girls play with it as well. All right, number four, which group of the sat and did not interact much with the toys? Okay, the non-aggressive model group. All right. Okay, yeah, that's a mistake, please. The non-aggressive model group, they do not interact much with the toys. All right, compared to the aggressive ones. All right, yeah. Okay, so those were just the record that was taken. Now, qualitative data. They got qualitative data. They were recording the behavior and its interpretation. Okay, now children made disapproving and surprised comments when observing the aggressive female model. Okay, yeah, please let me take some water. Okay, yeah. Children made disapproving and surprised comments when observing the aggressive female model. Okay, this is not a way for a lady to behave. You can imagine a child mentioning this. This is not a way for a lady to behave. So, which means at their level, they already believe that, okay, there are certain behavior that are acceptable for a lady, there are certain behavior that are not acceptable for a lady. That is really important. Okay, children also made approving comments when observing the aggressive male model. Oh, this man is a strong fighter. Yeah. Okay, so that's an example of the approving. So you can keep all this qualitative data in mind. You know, it will come out in the exam that mention one of the disapproving statement made by the made on the female model, or maybe on the male model. If it's approving comment, okay, the man is a strong fighter. If it's for the girl, this is not the way a lady should behave. Okay, so children who observed the aggressive model made significantly more aggressive responses than the other two groups. Okay, in terms of all three measures, imitative, partial, and non-imitative aggression, combining them together to form aggression. Okay, now boys displayed more physical aggression while girls showed more verbal aggression. So girls were stronger with the verbal aggression, boys were stronger with the physical aggression. Okay, boys were more likely to imitate same-sex models, although both sexes tend to imitate same-sex model. Okay, yeah, let me take this again. Boys were more likely to imitate same-sex model. All right, if they see a male model, they are more likely to imitate, although both sexes tend to imitate. Yeah, so girls also imitate girls, female model, but boys were just more. All right, boys imitated male model a little more than the way girls imitated female model. I believe that is understood, right? So, witnessing aggression in a model can be sufficient to produce aggression in an observer. So, if you witness an aggressive model, it might be okay. I mean, it might be sufficient enough to initiate aggressive behavior in you. All right. So, children selectively imitate gender-specific behavior. All right. That is the reason we could find disapproving comment made on the female model. All right, if you feel that okay, this behavior is right for a man, yeah, you tend to copy it, compared to if you feel the behavior is not right for a man. All right, so gender specific behavior, children also imitate it by looking at is the behavior right for the gender or not. Okay, now conclusion. Observed aggressive behavior are imitated, observed non-aggressive behavior are imitated. That is true. Okay, children are more likely to imitate the same sex model. Yeah, that is true. Compared to imitating opposite model. I mean, opposite gender model. All right. Boys are more likely to imitate aggression than girls. I think this is also true. Boys are more aggressive than girls. All right. So Evaluation, it was an experiment, laboratory experiment. What can you say about that? There is control of variables. You're able to control so many things. Talking about standardization, you're able to arrange different aspects. Okay, mentioned that earlier. You're able to arrange them appropriately. If the children actually moved the toys, you rearranged. All right, you are also able to manipulate the IVs very well, ensure that okay, it was a male model that was here, only a female model here, so all the IVs were carefully arranged. The 3 foot Bobo Doll, 5 foot Bobo Doll, influencing every aspect of the experiment. That is good. Control of a lot of variables. All right. However, could there be demand characteristics? Well, these are children. Well, demand characteristics for children is reduced. I mean, because they do not have that. The Let me say they do not engage in that much, or let me say deep form of reasoning, such that they begin to suspect a lot of things. Okay, the only thing with children is that if they are not familiar with an environment, some of them might tend to be a little shy. But as soon as they are with maybe an adult, or maybe they are with their friends, and they're free, then they tend to display their behavior. So demand characteristics is reduced as compared to an adult. Okay. For the data, they actually recorded by observing them. So it was a structured observation which was going to produce quantitative data. So that is the reason they could measure in terms of okay numbers. 25 here, 13 point something here. All right. So they were encoding the behavior into categories. So it produced the quantitative data, and quantitative data are fair, they are objective. All right. They can be easily compared across different um, groups. Also, qualitative data were gotten by recording the other comments made by the children, approving and disapproving comment. Okay. All right. So, but then what is the issue with, but it's generally quantitative data. What is the issue with quantitative data? In-depth information. Why did the might not really know what was going through the thought process of the child when he was doing what he was doing. Okay. So what about validity? There was good internal validity. You're able to um, control other variables, like it was said earlier. Um, what else? What else can we say about the validity? Um, I'm trying to ponder around it. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, you try to reduce variables such as the size of the bubble doll that could have affected the study. You know, if the bubble doll in the third room, the room 3, were to be the big one, now the children might have withdrawn from the bubble doll, not because they didn't want to play with it, but because they feel scared. They might have done that if they didn't control that. All right. So the fact that they use 3 foot, which is around their size, and or let me say, took away fear, which could have affected the result, which could have affected the natural feeling and the disposition of the children. So they try to take that away, and also, in particular, the catharsis theory. You try to tackle that by using the room 2. Okay, which means that you try to block catharsis theory from affecting the study, because the children might have seen the model and then it might have actually reduced their aggression. So by taking them to room 2 is a way of um, reviving their level of aggression. Okay. Well, that is debatable anyway. It's still open for debate. It depends on the angle at which you want to discuss that. Okay, for the sample using a total of 72 children. Okay, it depends. It can be large, it can be small, depending on what you think. Okay, but for me, I think it's actually good. It's good. 72 is actually a big sample. However, reducing them to 6 in each of those conditions, 6 is a small sample size. All right. So the behavior might not necessarily replicate what is obtainable in the real world. Using 4 people for male under boys under male. I mean 6 people for boys under male, 6 people for boys under female, 6 participants for all those small group conditions. So it's a small sample size. All right. So there's an issue with that. Okay. They are also from Stanford nursery, um, Stanford University school, the nursery school. All right. So Stanford University Nursery School, I think, if I'm not mistaken. All right. So that shows that they are all from the same school. Okay. And there might be um, similarities in their behavior. So there might be homo centric, okay, all from the same culture, speaking the same language, okay. Might not replicate the behavior of other children elsewhere. Okay, so that is that. Now talking about the ethic, okay. Um, you know, the children making disapproving comment, I think it's something to really take note, all right, because that shows that it's against their ethic, their norms, all right. That could have stressed them in one way or the other, you know. And also the fact that you expose them to aggression, and then you know that is actually stressful because you're training the children to be aggressive, despite the fact that it was just an experiment you were carrying out. So that is that is not good. Okay, you were not fully protected from harm. However, I think the equipment they made use of equipment that are not that hard. The hammer is not the kind of hammer that will affect the children, like maybe injure or maybe affect them or create a scar in their body system as such. Okay, so that is a way of reducing the harm that could be caused in the study. So that is fairly good. Okay, also the Bobo Doll was the soft one. It was reduced to the 3 foot, so which is not going to harm the children necessarily. Okay, what else can we talk about? I think that is it generally. Okay, yeah, there is one more thing I forgot to include, which is the fact that before the children were placed into the different condition, there was something called during the allocation of the children. It's matched pair design. Please, very important. They used matched pair design to separate the children into different groups. And how did they do that? They um, there was an observer, and I believe the experimenter went to the school before the experiment and observed the children playing in an open space. Okay, so after observing the children playing in an open space, in collaboration with the nursery class teacher, the experimenter was able to rate the natural aggressive behavior discovered in each of those children. All right. So the children were 72 in total, but those that they rated were 50, 50 something, I think. All right. So, but generally they rated the children beforehand, before the experiment. So after rating the children, they divided them into 3 categories. So the children with the highest level of aggression, they were now separated into 3 groups. Those with the subsequent level of aggression into the 3 groups, those with the subsequent 3 groups. So they rated them differently like that, all right, based on their level of aggression, and then they separated them into 3 groups. You remember that when you match people based on their level of aggression, and then you separated them into 3 groups, that is match pair design, either 2 groups or 3 groups. All right, so each one of those groups now becomes the 24 that forms the aggressive condition, the 24 that forms the non-aggressive condition, and the 24 that forms the control group. So which means in each of those conditions, you have one of the children with the highest level of aggression. So the 3 children with the highest level of aggression, one will be in the aggressive condition, one will be in the non-aggressive condition, and then one will be in the control group. And the 3 children with the lowest level of aggression that were rated, one will be in the aggressive condition, one will be in the non-aggressive condition, one will be in the control group. So which is to balance between individual differences that could affect the study. All right, so this is good because it reduces other variables that could affect the study. All right, so that was done. You can evaluate that as well. That okay, individual differences was not one of the issues affecting the study. Okay, and it's a way of standardization which increases the validity. All right, so yeah, I think that is it. Okay, using the grave now method to evaluate the student as reasonable generalizability as the sample was large enough that anomalies might be cancelled out. Okay, so specification around each individual might be cancelled out because they used a wide range of student. Okay, but they were from the same nursery school, which reduces its generalizability. Okay, um, okay, so they were also from one of the world's top university, talking about the nursery school. So these children might have particularly well-educated parents, making them unrepresentative of normal children, all right, which reduces the social classes, also reducing the generalizability. Okay, what about the reliability? The study's reliability is good as Bandura's procedure can be replicated. All right, they also use 2 observers behind the one-way mirror, which means that, okay, they try to match the recordings together. Okay, what I'm trying to record, is it the same thing with what you're trying to record? So, and then they got a score of 0.9, which is very good, very high. All right, so this creates inter-rater reliability. Inter-rater reliability is also good for validity. Okay, all right, and it's also, yeah, it's good because it shows that, okay, if there is high inter-rater reliability, that shows that what you recorded were accurate, the observers were not biased, and then they didn't miss out the important information. Now, this can be applied to parenting and teaching style. Okay, teaching style, because okay, it can be used in school or prison to help troubled students or prisoners, okay, from a role model. Now, if you want to reduce aggression, maybe in school, in classes, in prison, for example, you can use male figure because male were more effective at reducing aggression, right? So you can use male models, male teachers in such situation when it comes to disciplinary school, or maybe schools that really or have maybe a discipline committee. Okay, you can use male figures there so that they're able to execute and um, reduce the level of aggression in the children. Okay, if it's also parenting, so there are instances that the father, the male figure, can come into play to be able to reduce aggression in children. Okay, this is not necessarily a gender stereotype study, but just by observing what is realizable, okay, what is realistic in the population, okay, and making the best use of the study by applying the knowledge to other things in our life. Okay, all right, so validity now. Validity is low because they were put in a strange situation. Yeah, it was not their normal environment, so it is a different environment that was conditioned for a particular purpose. So there is low ecological validity. All right. So the Bobo Doll is also designed to be hit and knocked over. This introduces demand characteristics. All right. The fact that the Bobo Doll was designed for that purpose, children might not necessarily be aggressive, but because Bobo Doll were just more like something tempting them to be aggressive. Okay, so the concept of aggression in this study might not necessarily be the same way we see aggression out there. All right. So aggression does not just involve punching a Bobo Doll. Okay, so there is limited validity there. All right. So, but then because Bobo Doll, I think even if you're just a quiet person, just with the sight of Bobo Doll, and then moving past it, you might just be tempted to want to hit the thing. All right. So Bobo Doll is designed mostly for that purpose. All right. So people might just, it might just be a demand characteristics to want to punch Bobo Doll, but not necessarily because you are aggressive. Okay. Ethic. Now, ethics are low. Children may have been distressed by the aggressive behavior they witnessed and the aggressive behavior they learned. You know, who knows? Maybe they will also continue from that even outside after the study. Okay, and then children could not withdraw. All right, so they couldn't withdraw because they are still young. They are unable to really exercise. Uh, if they want to withdraw, maybe some children, what they did uh the most was just to sit down quietly at some point, but do they really want to be there? You know, they might not be able to fully express that. Okay, so that is one thing. Another thing is that they never mentioned debriefing, how to ease them from the aggressive behavior they might have learned through the study. Okay, other consideration, long-term effect. X 1965 says yes, 40% of 6 to 8 months. Okay, 40%, that is 6 to 8 months after later, there were negative effect of um, aggression on, or let me say aggression exposure on teenagers, so on children rather, so it can last for a very long time. So doing this also in Bandura study, all right, so the behavior might still be observable even after a very long time. Now the study supports Bandura's social learning theory, okay, as children did observe also and directly imitate the behavior. Okay, so Bandura study also children observe, and then despite the fact that they were delayed, they still repeated. They were delayed until they get to room 3. They still repeated that behavior. The result contrasts with instinct theory of Freud, that is nature. All right. So, you know, nature is against nurture. This is social learning is about nurture. You learn aggression. Freud believes that aggression is natural. That is, maybe your level of testosterone is what will lead you to aggression. So, well, to some extent, that is also true, but aggression can also be learned. So it's in both sides. Now, my reference, Mr. Gregory Online and Mr. Stephenson Ross, who happens to be another YouTuber. Okay, so that is it. Thank you all the way. My name is Paul Adebi. All right, this is my contacts. Please subscribe to my channel and like my videos. Please, I have a lot of videos there, so please just like each and every one of them, and then subscribe to the channel so you can also get updated when I upload new videos. All right, so thank you very much. I wish you all the best.